It represents 40 years worth of my review of the medical literature, 30 years of patient care. I'm not here to diagnose or treat anyone. I'm actually here to educate you. So this is more edutainment more than anything else because no manner of brains is worth a good set of bowels. Hey everybody, it's Dr. Toker, your friendly neighborhood colorectal surgeon, and we are talking gut stuff. Welcome. Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. As I am wont to say. um, Stop my music here for a second. We are on session number 3 of the world of detox. And the concept of detox, I think, eludes a lot of people. I don't think a lot of people realize how many different aspects of physiology are required to fully remove toxins from your body. Now, we did talk 2 weeks ago about the liver. Why? Because the liver is the most important. Let's start there first. That's where your body can take a toxic substance and do the little transformer thing and turn it into a water soluble substance, which then can leave your body. We then talked about the colon. Why? Because, okay, I am a colorectal surgeon, so that's part of why. But also because the colon serves a protective function. Okay, so the colon gets to choose what gets absorbed and what doesn't get absorbed. And the only exception to that is when you have intestinal inflammation. Somebody with intestinal inflammation has what we call leaky gut, and it means you no longer really have good control over what crosses across that membrane, and a lot of stuff gets in there. And it goes straight to your liver. The most notorious is something called LPS. That is a bacterial toxin. And if your liver gets chalked up with LPS, it can't function as a detoxification organ. And so we talked about those two things in the last 2 weeks. Now, the third part of this equation is once you have inadvertently absorbed something, oops, the colon failed, right? And then your liver has converted it to a water-soluble substance. Well, now what? Well, now what happens? It's got to get out of your body. Again, this is how God designed you, okay? It has got to get out of your body. So the kidney is your primary mission by which this occurs, all right? Now, I did include skin in this because there are some studies that suggest certain heavy metals in particular can be excreted through the skin. As a general rule, as physicians, we don't think, and we certainly don't advertise the skin as a means by which we release toxins. Although if your skin can absorb a toxin, I think it stands to reason it can excrete a toxin. So there may be some allopathic physicians who would disagree with the statement that the skin is involved in detoxification. However, in Eastern medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, and in several studies, you can demonstrate and document that certain toxins do leave the body by way of the sweat. Now, you have to treat the patient with other things to force that to happen, but it can indeed happen. Okay, that's my clarity there. Do you like my new disclaimer? Right, so now I've got consultants. If y'all knew my story, so now I got consultants. And so I have to have a medical legal disclaimer now that I am edutainment. I do not want someone using me on social media as their physician, right? I'm just like reviewing the literature for you because you're not going to do it, right? Why would you? And then I have a public platform that's reasonably popular, and so I'm just going to I'm like Nightline, right? Are you really going to get your health advice from Nightline? No. Okay. So it's just education. Okay, so let's go through the educational process. It also means I probably can't be so laissez-faire with answering medical questions, and a lot of people do ask me medical questions. And for 6 months to 2 years, I mean, some of my channels are 2 years old, I've always answered them, you know, with the caveat, okay, make sure you see your doctor and make sure you're not sick and blah, 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 blah. And if you were my patient and you had this and no other issue, I would do such and such. And I can't do that. I mean, the lawyers won't let me do that. So anyway, sorry to say, please don't ask me medical questions if you can resist. If you truly have a medical issue that you need answered and your doctor will not answer it, I do telehealth. My license is in Texas. I'm trying to expand to other states. Tennessee will be my first state that I expand into. Why? Because there's a nurse who works in my office who lives in Tennessee. And so we may start having a health collaborative in the Texas Timmins. It's like the Alamo, the Tennessee Texas connection. You got to start there. But anyway, so if you call and if you're not in the state of Texas, my office will talk you through the process. How do I do out of state consultations? So if you really have a medical issue, that is how I will address them. I'm not being rude if I don't answer that question. So mea culpa, my apologies. All right. So detox, let's talk a little bit about supplements, probiotics. We'll talk about infrared sauna. Of course, we're going to talk about Super Patch. That's who sponsors this time. If it weren't for the Super Patch people, I would not be spending my time doing this on Thursday mornings. They've been very gracious to me. I sit on their medical board. You will see my information on their website. If you go to superpatch.com and if you look under, maybe it's about us, learn more about us. I don't know, our medical board, maybe. You'll see us. You'll see me and several other doctors. Some of them are physical therapists. Some of them are PhDs. Some of them are sports medicine doctors. Admittedly, I'm the only colorectal surgeon, but there's such a deep connection between the digestive system and your brain, which is why every lecture I give, I do suggest Super Patch as an augmentation to your intestinal health. Because when your intestinal health is working at its prime, then you have a better ability to heal. Super Patch is not disease specific, but it does have neurologic specificity to it. And we'll talk about those nervous pathways in a little bit. So thank you to Super Patch for allowing me to give this lecture. And just as another caveat, they do not tell me what to say. The owner of Super Patch, I don't even know if he's seen any of my lectures. I'm sure he has. They don't say, Toker, I need you to talk about such and such. I kind of get to choose that. So I do retain my autonomy in this way. I do need to leave the legal disclaimers, however, in regards to their product. So that product does not cure any disease. Okay. So how does your body get contaminated? We've talked about this 2 weeks in a row, basically by things that either touch your skin, that you inhale, or that you consume. Where would those toxins come from? The air, things that are being sprayed in the air, things that are being sprayed on your food. And no matter how clean your apple looks, God only knows where it's been. Right? I'm sure there's dating advice that people have given over the centuries in regards to doesn't matter how clean it looks. It's where it's been that counts. Plumbing, right? I love the modern world. Thank you, God above, for putting me in the modern world. I love it because I've got running water. But the pipes to my home are made out of a very particular type of plastic. And prior to that, pipes were made out of lead. And prior to that, they were made out of, name the substance, right? So all of these things can contaminate your water, not to mention that certain toxins have sunk deeply into the land And in some occasions, we'll get into groundwater, industrial accidents. When those contaminants get into the groundwater, God, we all pay the consequence to that. So, while I love the modern world and better living through chemistry, we have a severe plastic problem. Vinyl gloves that you would wear, um, to keep clean, that I wear all the time in the operating room, that I wear in my office, people wear when they handle their food. All of this gets into our environment. God bless our ocean, is poisoned. Our land is poisoned, our water is poisoned, our air is poisoned, and it's not the carbon dioxide that you are breathing, and it's not the methane that cows are farting. It is going to be the plastics that we surround everything in, I think all those other things are distractions. So that is my personal opinion. Pollution needs to start. We need to start our focus with the plastic, and all go back to glass and paper, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so be very wary of the packaging that you put things in. All right. Now, once again, shout out to Super Patch. I guess I should have shown this slide when I was talking, but in context of this lecture, when we combine technology and this tactile technology with a clean diet, with avoiding these toxins as best we possibly can, then we are going to have an enormous impact on our health. And so doing these things are not the cure all to anything, but they certainly stabilize our bodies. God has designed our bodies in a wonderful way, and we truly are capable of getting rid of a lot of these contaminants that we can see from our environment. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And so on with our kidneys and our skin that are designed to get rid of water soluble objects, whether it's salts, toxic byproducts of your own metabolism, or toxins that you've ingested that the liver has converted into a salt that is water soluble. Your kidneys are designed to flush those out. And certain heavy metals can leave the skin under certain conditions, and we'll talk about that. I'm not going to give you the anatomy of the kidney and the skin because I hate to bore you people. I know some of you are not interested in biology. So I will move on. I will say this: your brain is in charge of all of that, okay? Because your brain tightly regulates all of the blood flow and all of the control between these organs. Every cell in your body is touching a nerve ending. And all of that data goes to your brain. And I know it's just hard for you to imagine. It's if you were to put your brain into a man-made supercomputer, it'd be the largest computer in the world. Right? So, and it's compact in this little, 7-pound package in your head. And so your brain is in charge of all that. And if your brain is in charge and then there's an automatic nervous system trigger to these processes, then yes, there will be a variety of this super patch technology that will apply. Okay. Toxins typically fall into several categories: fat soluble, what we call lipid soluble, heavy metals, and things that are made in the environment, like mycotoxins, like fungal toxins, bacterial toxins. Those things are made naturally in the environment by other animals, other creatures, as protective mechanisms to them. But when they're in your body, it's a no bueno. Okay. So your body has to have an ability to get rid of all that stuff. Heavy metals is this is the hot topic. The hot topic, especially if you love seafood. I'm from South Louisiana. I was born in Texas, but I was raised in the New Orleans area. So seafood's a huge part of my life. And I cry when I hear that my favorite seafood is going to be a source of heavy metal. And I do like the deep cold water fish, such as tuna and swordfish. But the bigger the fish, the deeper the water it swims in, the more likely it is to have mercury and heavy metal poisoning. Now, here's a sad thing for you. Grains naturally contain heavy metals. Plants will draw natural deposits up through the roots and present them to you partly as a defensive mechanism and just partly as an environment that they live in. So if you are eating a wheat that is over the years been subject to heavy metal exposure, then all of a sudden you've got high concentrations of heavy metals in your grains. It's one of the reasons to clean up your diet. A really clean diet has no grain in it because of these metals. There's also natural toxins that occur in grains, protective mechanism of the plant. It's not their fault. So high doses of grains can make you feel kind of woozy in the stomach in particular, simply because of that natural protective mechanism. Water can have natural toxins in them, natural heavy metals in them. Processed foods for sure do. We consider aluminum and tin. These are heavy metals, so is lead, cadmium, lithium, mercury. These are all heavy metals. Now, iron is a heavy metal too, but your body needs it. Manganese, magnesium, calcium, these are all metals that your body naturally needs. Toxins are those that your body accidentally absorbs, can't use. The ocean fish, seriously, y'all, this is a lot more important than an electric car. Fixing the ocean problem. It's my 2 cents. Watch me get banned for saying that on social media. I'm not opposed to an electric car. I'm just saying the amount of lithium you're spreading into the environment, the amount of diesel that goes across our ocean to get your precious lithium battery from overseas to America represents an enormous amount of pollution, including heavy metal pollution, is polluting our oceans. There was a study, and this is a little bit of an aside, and I know I'm talking long already. There was a study that I came across when I was sort of researching this topic about a Pacific island, pretty homogenous population. Really, it's only this native population that lives there. And there are essentially two types of villages on this island, right? Just like any island. On the periphery, there are beach dwelling villages. And then there's the little kind of hilly mountainous area villages. And the mountainous people don't often interact with the sea people, and the sea people don't really interact with the mountain people. So they do have some similarities to their diet as far as the fruits and veggies that are growing on this island, but their protein sources will vary. The ocean people are eating a lot of fish, and the mountain people are doing more bird, wild animal, that sort of thing. Okay. On this island in the last 20 or 30 years, there's been an alarming incidence of dementia, and they can find higher levels of heavy metals in the island villagers compared to the mountain villagers. And this is just exemplified in the pollution that's in our ocean. So here is an unpopulated, they don't have cars, they just live their lives the way they have for millennia, essentially, and yet they are getting poisoned by giant cargo ships, right? The modern world, we got to ship stuff all over creation. So just keep that in mind. The next time you buy something, try to buy something that's made closer to home. That way you're supporting a local economy and you're not paying for a ship to ship something across an ocean and pollute our poor little fish. That way our Louisiana fishermen can continue to provide the most awesome oysters and shrimp and redfish known to man. So that's my plug for Louisiana fishermen. Okay, so your body needs to remove these detox. Okay, so liver function, we talked about that. Heavy metals in particular need to undergo something called chelation. So a lipid soluble toxin that looks like an organic chemistry thing confuses the body. That's why it gets absorbed. Your body thinks it's a hormone, your body thinks it's something important, and it turns out to be a toxin. Your body will change, your liver will change that into a water soluble something your kidneys can flush out. Metals, on the other hand, don't behave that way. They will settle deep in the tissues and just sort of sit there. They tend to accumulate in the nerves and the bones, which is why there's an association, we think, with dementia and heavy metals. You can get these heavy metals out of your system through a process called chelation. Those metals will interact with certain chemical compounds to form water soluble salts. Now, someone who's experienced a very severe heavy metal intoxication will need to be in a hospital for IV chelation therapy. Why? Because it's extremely dangerous to chelate somebody, because it's a non selective process. You could drain your entire body of iron, magnesium, calcium, and cause serious illness. If you learned anything from this lecture today, I hope what you're taking home is don't do it yourself when it comes to chelation therapy. That can be dangerous because there are heavy metals in your body that you require: zinc, iron, copper. Actually, you need some manner of copper, calcium, magnesium. These things make your body go, and a chelating agent does not necessarily know the difference between all of those objects, and you can have cardiac, neurologic, and intestinal issues as a result of chelation therapy, which is why it's done very slowly over a prolonged period of time and typically through an IV. There are some things that we do through the GI tract. If we think you've got a soluble toxin, we will give you a purgative so that that toxin will leave the body. We talked about that last time. Ammonium in your body is one of those types of things. There are some poisons that will, ipecac will make you vomit stuff up so you don't absorb it. And then other kind of laxatives will make you poop out what's in there. So you try to get it out of there quickly. When it comes to your skin, the study I was talking about, and this was actually done out of China, for miners of copper, and I want to say cadmium or lithium, one of these heavy metal um, uh, ores that their miners are mining. Now, let's mind you, when you buy something that is obtained by objects mined in America, we at least have some safety precautions for these miners. It's still a very, very dangerous job, because their skin is making and their lungs are making constant contact with these heavy metals. Do you honestly think that's happening in third world countries, or overseas? And the answer is no. That's why you can get that material cheaper, because they're not spending money on their workers. It's another reason to buy American. Buy American. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, so in China, they had a lot of miners who were getting sick. Of course, they're working in these mines unprotected, and they're trying to safely and cheaply detox them from copper, for example. And so when they expose those miners to two things, one is a very particular probiotic, Lactobacterium rhamnosus, I believe is the one that they used. There was a second one, and I didn't write it down, and I did not commit it to memory. It's one I'll be honest, I don't really know the name of. And so these two probiotics and infrared sauna. Infrared sauna causes a deep heating of all of the tissues. It's more effective than just a regular steam sauna in the detox category, stimulates blood flow to the liver. And those miners, in their sweat came high concentrations of copper. So now, is that more effective than chelation therapy? I really just don't know the answer to that. That was not the point of the study. The point of the study was to demonstrate that, yes, under certain circumstances, high concentrations of toxic heavy metals can leave your body through the skin. Okay? And if you look online, can the skin get rid of a heavy metal? You'll see a lot of expert information that says no. This is only one paper, and it may be refuted at some point, but it is possible, at least for copper. Okay, so there you go. That's that paper. You need to be hydrated. You need to be hydrated very, very, very well. You can bind toxins upon ingestion, which is why we give activated charcoal. And of course, knowing what is intoxicating you in the first place, and stop putting it in your mouth, stop breathing it, stop letting it touch your skin. And it's one of the reasons why I talk about where the toxins are, not to scare people, but just so you know, how much toxin is in that. And sometimes it's not the way that the food is grown, it's the container that it's in. So you should know about the plastics, you should know how things are packaged. The less you process something, the better it's going to be for you. Now, there are certain foods that promote liver health and intestinal health and kidney health. And if you can improve the function of your liver, your GI tract, and your kidneys, and your skin for that matter, if you can improve those, you will improve your body's ability to get rid of toxins, because your body does not want them there any more than you do. I know psychologically you want them gone. Your body does too, right? So if you will calm down the inflammation of your intestinal tract, improve your liver's function and ability to regenerate itself, improve the blood flow to your kidney and to your skin, your body will naturally be able to get rid of these substances. That's the whole point of these lectures, okay? There are certain foods, and there's a list. It's long. This PDF, just like all my others, is available on our website. If you will go to drannatoker.com/services, or if it's a clicky button, it will say resources. But if you're Google searching, it'll be Anna Toker, Dr. Anna Toker/services. And then you'll see Bullpen PDFs, and just scroll down to these PDFs and download them, and they're free. And you'll see the list. I'll read them for my Spotify people who can't see the slide. And honestly, the slide is so small. You're watching Instagram on a phone at 6 o'clock in the morning, you can't see the slide either, so I might as well read it. Okay, foods, and we've talked about these in the past under other circumstances, but ginger, apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, grapefruit juice, things that are acidic that become alkalinizing in your body, right? So the apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, grapefruit. Cruciferous vegetables, we talked about that under the liver. Why they support liver health, yes, and they contain sulfur, which turns out is a pretty decent chelating agent, a natural chelating agent. It makes for a farty dinner when you feed the boy Brussels sprouts, but it's good for him, so you do it, right? Cranberry juice helps with kidney function, blood flow. Fiber gets the colon going. It also binds toxins to render them neutral so you don't absorb them. Coffee and green tea and turmeric are great antioxidants and can protect the intestinal lining. Garlic, artichoke, also these things are not only anti-inflammatories, but improve liver health and kidney health. Lycopenes, this is really good actually for skin health. One of the reasons I think, as an aside, that Italians look so much younger than their stated age is because they eat a lot of tomato-based foods in the presence of oil. So lycopene is a fat-soluble substance. And so if you eat a raw tomato, you are unlikely to absorb much of this lycopene. The lycopene lives in the skin. And if you heat up those tomatoes, crushed tomatoes in the presence of olive oil, you can extract that lycopene out into the olive oil. That's your cooking lesson, and it helps your skin. It's a great antioxidant. It's good for liver health, skin health, and intestinal health. Mushrooms, we're going to do a shroom thing at some point in time. It's hard for me to weave shrooms into a long lecture, but I'm going to do some deep search on that, see what we can do. For kidney and skin health in particular, shiitake mushrooms, cordyceps, reishi mushrooms are all medicinal mushrooms used in Eastern medicine to improve kidney health. And then cilantro. Hey, I'm in Texas now, baby, and there's cilantro in a lot of dishes around these parts. And cilantro is very good for kidney health, which is why it's on this list. Now, as far as supplements, y'all know me. I don't know. I assume you know me. Why would you be watching me for 45 minutes? If this is like your first lecture, it might be. Welcome, if it is. N-acetylcysteine is a great anti-inflammatory. It's awesome. It's over the counter, does not require a prescription. I use one that is actually also has selenium in it. It's made by Now Brands. It's like an orange bottle just because everyone keeps asking me that, and I'm gonna try not to answer a lot of questions on the feed if I can help it, simply because, legal doesn't want me doing that too much. But NAC, Now brand, has 600 milligram NAC with selenium. And I don't know the dose of the selenium. I think it's either 50 or 100 micrograms. But so just get the one that's a combo. Those two things are fantastic for detox in particular. Alpha lipoic acid, that's an essential fatty acid. It's also good for liver health and detox. Dandelion is a bitter herb. The B vitamins, incredibly important for the intestinal tract, for your liver, for your kidneys and your skin. Magnesium, same. Seaweed, it is interesting. Seaweed comes from the ocean. And I just told you the ocean is poison. So how can seaweed not also contain mercury? And I suspect if you ate a lot of it, you'd be having a mercury issue. Be cautious where you source the seaweed. It's spirulina and chlorella. These are awesome, but be very cautious where they are sourced. Understanding the heavy metal issue of our oceans, and you know, like any supplement, be cautious how much you actually eat. That way you can limit that risk factor. And then lactobacillus rhamnosus, and I quote it because that's easily found in many, many, many probiotics. In fact, the digestive probiotic it's more than just a probiotic, but our digestive product we're launching in 2 weeks. This is one of the bacteria in that. It's an incredibly good probiotic for a number of different um, uh, symptoms. So, balancing the autonomic nervous system, because the autonomic nervous system is in charge of your liver and your kidneys. So obviously, balancing the autonomic nervous system is going to help. When you are under a lot of stress, the sympathetic nervous system has high tension. And in that situation, your microbiome does not function well. Your intestinal health does not function well. The blood flow to your kidneys goes down. The blood flow to your liver goes down. And your liver itself cannot regenerate itself well in the presence of sympathetic tone. So you want to mitigate your stress, because stress equals sympathetic nervous system. You want to support the rest function, the autonomic nervous system, because this is where the liver regenerates, your intestinal tract gets back into balance. You can increase the blood flow to both the kidneys and your skin using the autonomic nervous system. So it is for this reason that I suggest Super Patch. Now, how would a 2-inch by 2-inch Band-Aid looking stick-on thing with no medicines on it, how can that possibly help? And the answer is there is a texture on that patch that your body recognizes. I know you don't recognize it, but your body definitely recognizes it. In the same way as if a fly were to land on the back of your hand, you would know instantly there's a fly on your hand, and you would shake your hand. You don't have to look at it. It could be a completely dark room. Your body knows this signal. Each one of these patches has a slightly different signal, and your brain recognizes each of these different signals the same way you would recognize a different song on your favorite movie soundtrack. Okay. So that's how these patches are working. They are using a signaling pathway from your skin through the nerves to your brain, translates, and then we can watch on an EEG pathways that are too slow, speed up to normal, pathways that are too fast, slow down to normal. If your pathway is normal, this patch will do nothing for you. Okay, so that's why you cannot cure a disease with these patches. But if you've got dysfunction, you can get these nervous pathways back into normal balance. When you do that, all of a sudden, the secondary side effects of the original dysfunction go away and your body can heal itself. So Peace patch, for example, it mitigates stress comparatively to the same as someone who is doing expert meditation, which is known to control people's blood pressure and cortisol. It lowers their sympathetic tone. Meditation will lower your sympathetic tone. You can see on an EEG when someone meditates, it changes their brain waves. If you take a peace patch, put it on your skin, it changes your brain waves and looks like you've been meditating. So that is going to control your sympathetic nervous system. Now, if your sympathetic nervous system gets calmed down and then your parasympathetic nervous system is allowed to speed up a little bit, which is what that patch is helping accomplish, all of a sudden you have improved coordination of your intestinal tract if you're using the Liberty track patch. You have a regeneration of the liver with the Liberty patch. You can improve blood flow to the skin through this Lumi patch. You can improve the coordination of sleep with a REM patch. And again, it's not a cure to any disease. And these patches don't cause a detox. Someone asked me 2 weeks ago, oh, which one of those patches do you use to actually detox? Your body does all the detoxing. What we're trying to do is get your body into the optimal physiological and neurological state that allows that detox to happen, which means you need to know where the toxins are coming from, clean up your diet, so a clean, non-GMO diet, grain-free if you can do it. I love fish and ocean fish in particular, but you may need to limit that to a certain degree, especially when it comes to the deep cold water fish like tuna and swordfish. Those are treat fish only. Don't eat those every day. Simply because we're trying to limit heavy metals that are into our bodies, right? So you're going to be on a nice clean diet. Drink lots of water. What good does it do you if you're dehydrated? You can't increase blood flow if you don't have hydration, right? So you need to be hydrated. You need to at least make the effort to try to sleep. Stop the caffeine. Put yourself through a good sleep regimen. That way, when you lay down, if you're struggling, put on a REM patch. Put on a REM and a peace patch. That's what I do. Because otherwise, I'm thinking about my day tomorrow all day long. I gotta have my peace patch to make that stop. So, right. So these things are designed to help. And it truly, truly does help if you struggle in this way. Now, if you're already meditating 8 hours a day, peace patch is not going to do you any benefit, right? If you sleep like a champ, REM patch is not going to help you. If you take a bunch of caffeine, REM patch is not putting you to sleep. Okay, just do we understand? Right? You can never say that any supplement is curing anything. You can never say this patch is ever curing anything any more than a set of crutches cured your broken foot. Those crutches are not curing your broken foot. Your body is curing your broken foot. The crutches are supporting your weight while that is happening. It's the best way that I can kind of explain that. Okay, so that's when you're going to detox, that's what we're going to do. We're going to hydrate. We're going to clean up our diet, including the air that we're living in, the light sources that we have. Look at your labels. Look how things are packaged. Try to shop in a local economy and make sure they're using ingredients that are sourced as close to your home as possible. This is not my press against gas and global warming. That's not my point. When you put something in a container and ship it from 10,000 miles away across the ocean, leaving an oil slick of diesel in its wake, just to save 50 cents on something that you could have got from someone who grew it down the street. It's kind of the point that I'm making. Okay, so we are kind of we have a plastic addiction problem, and microplastics are huge. I'm not part of Greenpeace or anything like that, but I'm just saying it's a big problem. Okay, so anyway, thank you for indulging my opinion. I rambled this morning. Please do go to our website, dranatover.com, and you can see an area called Things I Love, and these are all the different products I love, including the super patch. Our digestive product, which comes out in 2 weeks, is called Zyve 7, and there is a lovely little spot waiting for Zyve 7 to pop in there. And then the PDFs are all free. You can just download those anytime you want to. I am on a mission to educate the world. So I do post all of this information, and it will be reposted um, here on Instagram, although Instagram doesn't catalog things particularly well. I do have a consultant who helps me put thumbnails on the Instagram thing so you can kind of see by looking at my little grid. Not always the easiest. YouTube, I have a different person upload things to Rumble and YouTube. And so she does the thumbnails for that. And that will go up here soon. I'm the one who posts it to Spotify in audio format. And so you can find those things there at some point when I have time, and I don't have the time, but one day I will. I'm trying to expand out to LinkedIn, which is more for the business folks. If you're a physician, a nutritionist, a dietitian, you want to share with your clients, sometimes it is easier to share on LinkedIn, and I am aware of that. They won't let me live stream, which means I have to manually post. And if I have to manually post, I just don't have the time for that. So one day that's going to happen. In the meantime, YouTube, Rumble, Spotify. This does live stream to both X and to Instagram. And so catch us here each week. We are talking gut stuff, and I appreciate everything y'all do. And you guys have a good day. Keep it clean.